Hello everyone and welcome to my morning report analysis videos on Tuesday the 6th of November with me, Rich Perry, market analyst at Hantec Markets. It is the day of the midterm elections in the States, and markets are fairly conservative in terms of their movement. There's not a great deal of direction that we have across Forex or equity markets. You can see that European equities are basically flat, and that's come as a little bit of a tick higher at the open, has now just unwound slightly as the US futures have sort of ticked marginally lower. I cannot see any real direction through these markets at all really today ahead of these midterm elections, which are likely to drive near-term volatility. You can see that there is a slight amount of risk positive move that we're seeing through Forex. You've got the yen that's underperforming, you've got the dollar slightly lower, so therefore euros slightly higher, Aussie and Kiwi are slightly higher as well. We had the RBA monetary policy announcement overnight. Again, nothing doing there, no change on rates at 1.5%. So we didn't really get too much of a steer there, but I think markets will be focusing on this, on the US midterms and the election outcome. Now, in terms of what we're looking for, well, we've got the whole of the House of Representatives being voted on, and a third of the Senate, and the expectation on the 435 seats in the representatives on the House is that it pretty much comes almost dead flat as a dead heat, pretty much neck and neck on the opinion polls from the final analysis that I've been seeing, and it's the market has been sort of moving into the fact that possibly the Democrats could take the House of Representatives, and maybe that is why we're seeing this marginal risk positive look to the Forex markets. But yeah, nothing really doing in terms of market direction. But in terms of what we're looking out for on the Senate, again, looking out for the Republicans to probably hold on to their seats. It's going to be very difficult for the Democrats who are mostly sort of already holding many of the 35 seats that are up for grabs there. So it's going to be difficult for the Democrats to make notable gains and control the Senate there. So in terms of how we're looking at the actual outcome of these midterms, it's likely to be as is, and not too much change. But certainly that would be marginally dollar positive, I'd say, in terms of how the outcome would be perceived. If the Democrats controlled the House of Representatives and or the Senate, that would be seen as dollar negative, depending on the degree of whether they take the Senate or not, which would be the ultimate dollar negative view. So we're not really showing a great deal of movement, as I said, on these markets ahead of these midterm results. So in terms of my chart of the day, just before that, you've got US jolts this afternoon, but again, that's not really the focus this afternoon. The markets are not going to have a great deal of direction, I don't think. So my chart today is the FTSE 100, and FTSE 100 has been consolidating the last few days. It had that upside breakout above resistance that was 70.85 towards 7,114. But it's retreated back to that resistance line, which is clearly a near-term pivot. You can see that the dotted line here seems to be sort of supporting those corrective moves intraday, but the market is not breaking down. So the market is clearly at a bit of a near-term crossroads, but look at these momentum indicators. The RSI has flattened off, plateaued at just underneath 50. Stochastics are beginning to turn lower. So certainly if you've got a risk negative outcome from the midterms, and that would come with a Democrat-controlled House and or Senate, then you'd see likely to see some downside momentum building, and that would be driving FTSE 100 lower. A close below 70.85 and 77 or 7,077, I should say, would start to generate downside momentum. You could see that through the stochastics and likely to be seen through the RSI as well. And then you could start to see 7,000 and perhaps even 6,850 again. So that would be the sort of inference from that move. Now, sorry, that's the DAX. Now, the FTSE 100 would also then complete a small top pattern as well. You could argue that the 7196 measured down to 7085 gives you around about 110, 115 ticks of downside move, and that would again imply 6,950 area, 6,960, which again, these reaction lows that we saw, or pivots I should say, the pivots around the sort of 650 to 670, 680 area could be where we see the market retreating into support. So this is a bit of a near-term crossroads, clearly, this pivot line on the FTSE 100, and a breach to the downside would generate downside momentum, it would seem. So with that in mind, I wish you good luck in your trading today, and I will speak to you later.